After learning OOPS, you're probably wondering, how do I connect my in-game objects, like parts, characters, etc., to my OOP program and actually manipulate them? Let's find out. First, let's insert a part inside Workspace and set its size to 10, 10, 10. Now let's make our class in a module script. We'll start the same way as before, create a table, set the index rule, and create the new function. But this time, since we want to connect our program to the part in the workspace, we pass that part in when we create the object. So here I write the parameter model. Then I create a self table, make a key called model, and set it equal to the model parameter. Then we set the meta table and return self. Now let's create the object inside a script. First, I make a reference to the workspace part in a variable called part. Then I require the module script into a variable called module. Now I create the object called cpart using module.newCommand and pass in the part. When you run it, your object looks like this, a table called cpart, containing the key model with the workspace part as its value. Now let's go back to the module script and add a function called shapeChange. I'll store this function inside the class, and now we write the code for what it does to the part when we call it on cpart. I'm going to change the shape of the part using tween service. First, let's add a task.waitOpen parenthesis close parenthesis so we can actually see the tween happen. Now here I call tween service, create the tween info, and give it 5 seconds to complete. Then I create the goal, which will just decrease the size of the part. Then we create the tween using tween service create open parenthesis, close parenthesis. To actually make the tween service work, we have to give the reference to the part. Now here's a question. How do we access the part for any object built from this class inside this function? Yes, the answer is self.model. So when we call this function on cpart, self.model refers to the part in the workspace. Then we set up the tween with the tween info and the goal, and finally play the tween. Now let's call this function on our object. So here I write cpart::shapeChange. Let's test and run it. There you go, the part changes shape over time. You can use other properties present in the properties panel of the part inside this function too. Let's add one more line to the function which changes the part's color to blue. So here I write self.model since it directly indicates to the part. Now we can set its color property using color3.fromRGB command. Then here I pick the color I want. Now when we run the game again, watch the part turns blue and plays the tween at the same time. That's it for today. Bye bye, see you in the next video.